Friends, family, scores of people, many with balloons, at River Terrace Park this afternoon to mourn the loss of 20-year-old Taya Ashton. Taya Ashton, a transgender woman murdered last weekend. As the vigil was going on, news of an arrest in the case. They say it was a bizarre incident that led to the capture of the suspect. They say the day after the shooting, a man was running down the metro tracks at the Pentagon station. Police move in and arrest the man. And then they say they found what they believe to be the murder weapon. Under arrest and charged with murder, 27-year-old De'Allen Price, a suspect in the murder of Taya Ashton. Taya Ashton found dead inside her home in Suitland. It happened Saturday night at the Sussex Square Apartments. Taya lived on the second floor. There's no sign of forced entry. Police say she knew the murder suspect. Police say they uncovered no evidence that Taya's death was due to her gender identity. But Taya's grandfather has a different opinion about that.
Because when the two officers go in, I'm right there. I see what they saw, and I'm saying what I saw told me that something was afoul, had to do with his gender identity. That's what I believe.
Murder suspect Price is being held in a Virginia jail awaiting extradition to Prince George's County. I'm Pat Collins, News 4.
Imagine a world where revealing your true self leads to a fatal betrayal. A world where trust is met with a bullet and intimacy morphs into deadly hatred. This isn't a dystopian fantasy. It's the harsh reality that stole the vibrant life of Taya Ashton. In the quiet embrace of Suitland, Maryland, lived Taya Ashton, a 20-year-old black transgender woman who embodied authenticity and pride. Yet, on a warm summer night in 2021, her truth, her very identity, became a death sentence. The man who had shared her bed for months, who had whispered endearments in her ear, would later claim her gender identity justified his heinous act. This isn't just a crime. It's a chilling testament to the lethal power of transphobia disguised as shock. On July 17th, 2021, a distress call shattered the quiet of a Brooks Drive apartment complex. Inside, Taya Ashton lay fatally wounded, pronounced dead at the scene. What initially appeared as another grim statistic, the 31st known killing of a transgender person that year, soon unraveled into a deeply personal tragedy. The investigation quickly honed in on 27-year-old De'Allen Devontae Price, Taya's boyfriend of several months. After the murder, Price fled, taking items from Taya's apartment and ultimately attempting to escape through a Metrorail tunnel near Pentagon City, where authorities recovered the murder weapon. Cornered, Price offered a chilling explanation that laid bare his fragile masculinity and the deadly grip of transphobia. He murdered Taya because he discovered she was transgender, despite their months-long intimate relationship. Welcome to Lat True Crime Stories. Subscribe for more thrilling cases like this to never miss an episode. For months, Taya and De'Allen shared moments that seemed utterly genuine, dinners, conversations, and physical intimacy. To onlookers, they were just another couple navigating the early stages of romance. But hidden beneath the surface was a volatile prejudice of Price, a ticking time bomb awaiting the revelation of Taya's truth. When that moment arrived during an argument in Taya's apartment, Price made a choice that extinguished one life and irrevocably altered his own. Instead of engaging in dialogue or simply walking away, he reached for a gun. The seemingly normal relationship instantly exposed its deadly undercurrent. This was an impulsive act born of passion, but a calculated response to a revelation about someone he claimed to care for. The most disturbing detail? Price later confessed in court that his sole motivation for the violence was discovering Taya was transgender. Stay with us as we dissect this tragedy and explore the warning signs that may have been overlooked. Could Taya have protected herself? Could those around her have perceived the danger? By understanding the dynamics that led to this heartbreaking outcome, we can potentially save lives in the future. Whether you're transgender, know someone who is, or simply value human dignity, Taya's story offers critical lessons for us all. We will delve into their relationship, the crime, and its aftermath to provide insights that can help you or a loved one avoid a similar fate. Your safety may well depend on what you learn today. Born Tavin Ashton, Taya navigated the complex journey of self-discovery in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, ultimately embracing her identity as a young black transgender woman. By 20, she had already conquered obstacles most people never face. Growing up in a culturally diverse region, she mastered the art of balancing authenticity with survival. Friends describe her evolution as both graceful and resolute. She didn't just exist. She flourished, developing her unique voice and style with each passing year. Despite societal challenges where transgender women of color disproportionately face violence and discrimination, Taya bravely refused to hide. She chose visibility in a world that often punishes such courage. By 2021, Taya had built a life reflecting her true self in Suitland, Maryland. Her apartment on Brooks Drive served as both a sanctuary and a social hub, a place where she could express herself freely. Though her journey had its difficulties, financial struggles, occasional discrimination, and the everyday hurdles of young adulthood, those closest to her remember Taya approaching life with remarkable resilience and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. Taya radiated an infectious energy that drew people to her. With a smile that could light up a room and a laugh her friends described as musical, she possessed a natural charisma that captivated from the first impression. Those who knew her spoke of her sharp wit, impeccable fashion sense, and her ability to make others instantly comfortable. Beyond her magnetic personality, Taya demonstrated remarkable entrepreneurial drive. At just 20, she was already organizing pop-up events, showcasing her business acumen and creative vision. She worked as a substitute teacher, revealing her patience and nurturing spirit. Friends recalled Taya enthusiastically sharing business ideas, from fashion to event planning, always with meticulous execution plans. Her notebook, filled with concepts and strategies, was evidence of a mind constantly generating opportunities. Despite her youth, Taya approached her entrepreneurial pursuits with the seriousness of someone twice her age. At the heart of Taya's support system was her grandfather, Stuart Anderson, a respected community activist in Washington, D.C.'s Ward 8. Their bond transcended the typical grandparent-grandchild relationship, evolving into a profound friendship built on mutual respect and unconditional love. Several times a week, Taya would visit him, often bringing home-cooked meals and sharing stories about her latest ventures or community activities. Anderson became not only Taya's greatest champion, but also her fiercest protector. He embraced her identity without hesitation, setting an example for the rest of their family. When Taya faced discrimination, her grandfather offered both emotional support and practical guidance. Their conversations ranged from local politics to Taya's dreams, with Anderson providing wisdom and Taya offering fresh perspectives. This intergenerational exchange strengthened both their lives, forming a foundation of acceptance that allowed Taya to flourish despite external challenges. Taya's commitment to her community was demonstrated through consistent action, not just words. She frequently organized fundraisers for local causes, leveraging her event planning skills to gather support for everything from youth programs to LGBTQ+ resources. Neighbors remembered Taya checking on elderly residents during extreme weather, offering assistance with groceries or simply companionship. As a substitute teacher, she connected with marginalized students, creating safe spaces for authentic expression. Many local teenagers saw her as both a mentor and a friend. Even after her death, stories emerged of Taya's quiet generosity, anonymously paid bills, encouraging notes, and countless small acts of kindness that revealed the depth of her community impact. In early 2021, Taya Ashton and Alan Price met at a local gathering in Prince George's County. Friends who witnessed their first interaction describe an instant mutual connection. Price, 27 at the time, confidently approached Taya, complimenting her style and engaging her in conversation that extended for hours. Social media records later reviewed by investigators show that within days, they had connected online, exchanging flirtatious messages and making plans to meet again. Their digital conversations revealed a rapidly developing attraction, with Price actively pursuing Taya's attention through consistent communication. Taya's friends noted her genuine excitement about this new relationship, sharing screenshots and expressing optimism about Price's apparent acceptance and interest. Neither Taya nor her inner circle detected any early warning signs of violence to come. What began as casual dating quickly deepened. By spring 2021, Taya and Alan were spending multiple nights a week together, primarily at her Suitland apartment. Their relationship developed the familiar rhythms of new romance, dinner dates, movie nights, and increasing physical intimacy. According to Taya's confidants, she believed Price fully accepted her identity, though later investigation would raise questions about what was truly disclosed between them. Their social media presence as a couple grew, with photos at local restaurants, community events, and relaxing at Taya's place. Price introduced Taya to several friends, presenting her as his girlfriend without qualification. Taya, in turn, spoke of Price to her grandfather, describing him as respectful and attentive. Text messages recovered from Taya's phone revealed exchanges of affection and future plans, including potential trips and family gatherings. By early summer, their relationship included regular physical intimacy. Friends reported that Taya seemed happier, more confident, and more hopeful about this relationship than previous ones. She confided to a close friend that Price made her feel seen and desired, validating her not just as a woman, but as a complete person worthy of love and respect. Beneath the surface of their seemingly functional relationship lay complex dynamics that would ultimately prove fatal. While Price publicly embraced the relationship, investigators later uncovered concerning patterns in his private behavior. He maintained separate social circles that never intersected with Taya, compartmentalizing his life in ways that, in retrospect, hinted at discomfort or shame. Text messages from Price's phone revealed moments of possessiveness and subtle control, particularly regarding Taya's appearance and social activities. When she attended events without him, his messages would become more frequent, demanding updates and photos as proof of her whereabouts. These controlling behaviors gradually escalated, with Price occasionally expressing disapproval of Taya's clothing choices or questioning her friendships with other men. Taya, for her part, navigated these challenges with patience, often reassuring Price while maintaining her independence. Friends noticed occasional tension between them at social gatherings, especially when Taya received attention from others. One friend recalled overhearing an argument where Price accusatorily questioned Taya about her past relationships. Despite these warning signs, the relationship continued, with periods of conflict followed by reconciliation. The most significant challenge, Price's internal conflict about Taya's gender identity, remained largely invisible until it erupted in violence. Whether he truly didn't know or simply couldn't accept what he did know became the central question in understanding the tragedy that followed. What would you do if someone you trusted harbored violent prejudices? This isn't hypothetical. It's a daily reality for many. Taya and Alan's relationship demonstrates how prejudice can hide behind smiles and affection, only to emerge with deadly consequences when challenged. Have you ever discovered someone close to you held beliefs that shocked or frightened you? How did you respond? Your experiences and insights could help others recognize warning signs before tragedy strikes. Perhaps you witness controlling behaviors escalate over time, or notice someone compartmentalizing their life to hide their true nature. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might offer the crucial insight someone needs to recognize danger in their own relationship. Together, we can learn to identify these hidden threats and protect ourselves and our loved ones from those who mask hatred behind affection. The 48 hours leading up to Taya's murder showed no overt signs of impending violence. On Thursday, July 15th, Taya and Price were seen shopping together at a local mall, security footage capturing them holding hands and appearing affectionate. That evening, they dined at a restaurant near Taya's apartment, where waitstaff recalled them seeming like any other couple enjoying each other's company. Friday, July 16th, Taya spent the morning with her grandfather, running errands before returning to her apartment to prepare for a small gathering that evening. Price arrived around 7 p.m., according to text messages, bringing alcohol and joining the group of friends. Multiple attendees later told investigators that while Price seemed quieter than usual, there was no obvious tension between the couple. The gathering dispersed around midnight, with only Price remaining at Taya's apartment. The next day, Saturday, July 17th, will be the last of Taya's life. According to Price's later court testimony, Saturday began normally. The couple slept late, ordered breakfast delivery, and spent the afternoon watching movies. Around 7 p.m., a seemingly minor disagreement about dinner plans unexpectedly escalated. What began as a trivial argument transformed when the conversation shifted to their relationship's future. During this increasingly heated exchange, Taya allegedly made a comment about Price's need to fully accept her if they were to continue together. Price claimed this was the moment he directly asked Taya about her gender history, though Taya's friends insisted she had been open about her identity from early in their relationship. Regardless of what had been previously disclosed, Price's reaction to the explicit confirmation was immediate and violent. In his own words during sentencing, Price described feeling deceived and humiliated upon what he claimed was his first realization that Taya was transgender. Despite months of physical intimacy, he maintained that this knowledge was new to him. The court later heard how Price's anger intensified as Taya attempted to explain that her identity didn't change anything about their relationship or his sexuality, as she tried to calm him. Emphasizing that he had been attracted to her as a woman all along, Price's rage continued to build toward its fatal conclusion. Officers arrived at Taya's apartment at 10:23 p.m., finding her unresponsive with a single gunshot wound to the chest. Despite immediate life-saving efforts, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Police secured the area and canvassed her witnesses, quickly learning about Price's relationship with Taya from neighbors who had seen him regularly at the apartment. The initial investigation revealed no signs of forced entry, suggesting Taya knew her killer. Officers noted the apartment appeared partially ransacked, with drawers open and items scattered. A shell casing recovered from the bedroom matched a 9mm handgun. By midnight, detectives had identified Price as their primary person of interest and issued an alert for his apprehension. For nearly 48 hours after murder, Price evaded capture while authorities tracked his movements through cell phone signals and financial transactions. He abandoned his vehicle in southeast Washington, D.C., then used rideshare services to travel between locations, briefly staying with acquaintances who later claimed ignorance of his actions. By Monday morning, July 19th, police had narrowed their search to the Arlington, Virginia area. Around 2 p.m. that day, Metro Transit Police spotted Price near the Pentagon City Station. When officers approached, Price bolted, running directly into the Metrorail tunnel in a desperate attempt to escape. This reckless flight forced authorities to shut down service on the blue and yellow lines, disrupting thousands of commuters. For nearly an hour, Price navigated the dark tunnel system, ignoring commands to surrender. Transit workers described the unprecedented manhunt as dangerous for everyone involved, with Price risking electrocution from the third rail, while officers pursued him through hazardous conditions. After Price's capture in the Metro tunnel, investigators recovered crucial evidence linking him directly to Taya's murder. The 9mm handgun he discarded during the pursuit was retrieved and later confirmed through ballistics testing to be the weapon that fired the fatal shot. The gun bore only Price's fingerprints, contradicting his initial claim that Taya had threatened him with the weapon. In Price's possession, officers found a backpack containing items taken from Taya's apartment. Her wallet with identification cards, approximately $800 in cash, several pieces of jewelry, and her cell phone. Forensic analysis of the phone revealed that Price had attempted to delete text messages between them, but failed to remove them completely. These recovered messages documented their relationship timeline and contradicted several of Price's statements about the nature of their connection. Additionally, surveillance footage from Taya's apartment building clearly showed Price entering with an empty backpack, but leaving with a full one shortly after the estimated time of the shooting. Following his capture, Price was initially held in Arlington on charges related to the Metro tunnel incident. Within 24 hours, he was extradited to Prince George's County, Maryland, where he faced multiple serious charges: first-degree murder, second-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon, theft, and firearms offenses. At his initial court appearance on July 21st, Price appeared via video link, showing no visible emotion as the charges were read. The judge denied bail, citing the violent nature of the crime and Price's demonstrated flight risk. The prosecution outlined their case, emphasizing the premeditated aspect of the murder and the theft that followed. If convicted on all counts, Price faced the possibility of life imprisonment without parole. News of Taya's murder and Price's arrest sparked immediate responses from LGBTQ plus advocacy organizations. The Human Rights Campaign highlighted that Taya was the 31st transgender person killed in 2021, part of what they termed an epidemic of violence against transgender women of color. Local groups organized vigils outside the Prince George's County Courthouse, with hundreds attending to honor Taya's memory. The National Black Justice Coalition issued a statement calling for the case to be investigated as a hate crime. Community leaders, including Taya's grandfather, spoke at press conferences demanding justice and greater protections for transgender individuals. These collective voices ensured that Taya's death would not be overlooked or minimized, but rather recognized as part of a disturbing pattern requiring urgent societal attention. The legal process spanned over 2.5 years, with multiple delays requested by Price's defense team. Initially, Price maintained his innocence, claiming self-defense and suggesting Taya had threatened him with a gun. This narrative crumbled under scrutiny as forensic evidence and witness testimonies contradicted his account. By November 2023, facing overwhelming evidence, Price's strategy shifted dramatically. In a plea agreement finalized on November 15th, Price admitted guilt to second-degree murder and use of a firearm in commission of a crime of violence. The first-degree murder charge was dropped in exchange for his guilty plea. During the plea hearing, Price spoke in a monotone voice, acknowledging that he shot Taya during an argument in her bedroom. The most revealing moment came during the January 2024 sentencing hearing, when Price made his first public admission about his motive. Reading from prepared statement, he told the court, "I reacted with anger and violence when I learned during our argument that Taya was not born female. Despite our intimate relationship over several months, I felt deceived and responded by shooting her." This admission stunned the courtroom, confirming what Taya's family and advocates had maintained from the beginning, that her murder was directly linked to anti-transgender prejudice. The prosecutor later described his confession as a textbook hate crime disguised as a moment of passion. While Price never formally invoked a trans panic defense, his admission effectively aligned with its core premise, the notion that discovering someone's transgender identity justifies a violent response. This controversial defense strategy has historically been used to mitigate sentences in cases involving violence against transgender individuals, particularly in intimate contexts. By 2024, 15 states had banned this defense, recognizing it as a dangerous legitimization of anti-transgender violence. Maryland, however, was not among them at the time of Price's trial. The prosecutor addressed this directly in court, stating, "Let's be absolutely clear. Learning someone is transgender is never justification for violence, let alone murder. This defense perpetuates the dangerous idea that transgender lives are somehow deceptive or less valuable." Taya's grandfather spoke powerfully against this narrative during his victim impact statement, emphasizing that Taya lived her truth openly and honestly. The only deception here was Price pretending to accept her while harboring deadly prejudice. On January 12, 2024, Judge Michael Pearson delivered the sentence: 60 years in prison with all but 48 years suspended, followed by 5 years of supervised probation. In his remarks, Judge Pearson rejected any notion that Price's motive mitigated his actions, stating, "This court finds that the defendant's claimed surprise about Ms. Ashton's gender history in no way diminishes the heinousness of this crime." The sentence exceeded standard guidelines for second-degree murder in Maryland, reflecting the hate-motivated nature of the killing. Taya's family members, who had attended every hearing wearing purple, her favorite color, embraced each other as the sentence was announced. Outside the courthouse, Stuart Anderson addressed reporters and media. "Today doesn't bring Taya back, but it sends a message that her life mattered, that transgender lives matter. 48 years won't erase our loss, but perhaps it will prevent another family from experiencing this pain." Taya Ashton's murder exists within a disturbing pattern of violence against transgender individuals in America. In 2021 alone, at least 50 transgender people were killed nationwide, marking the deadliest year on record at that time. This violence disproportionately affects Black transgender women, who face intersecting oppressions based on race, gender, and transgender status. The Human Rights Campaign reports that intimate partners perpetrate approximately 1 in 5 transgender homicides, making relationship violence a significant threat. These crimes often follow a similar pattern. Initial acceptance followed by violent rejection when transphobia overcomes attraction. Most disturbing is how frequently these murders involve excessive violence, suggesting not just killing but punishment for transgressing gender norms. This epidemic reflects broader societal attitudes that dehumanize transgender individuals. Media narratives that frame transgender identity as deceptive, political rhetoric that questions transgender legitimacy, and legal systems that still accept panic defenses all contribute to a culture where such violence becomes normalized and, in the minds of perpetrators like Price, justified. Examining Taya's relationship with Price reveals several warning signs that, while subtle, might help others identify potentially dangerous partners. Controlling behaviors often emerge gradually. Price's increasing demand for updates on Taya's whereabouts and questioning of her friendships represented early red flags. His compartmentalization of their relationship, keeping Taya separate from certain friends and family, suggested shame rather than pride in their connection. Experts in relationship violence point to several concerning patterns. Partners who express discomfort with your identity while claiming acceptance, excessive questioning about past relationships, sudden mood shifts, particularly after intimate moments, and isolation tactics that separate you from support networks. Additionally, possessiveness disguised as protection and monitoring behaviors masked as interest can indicate potential for control and violence. For transgender individuals specifically, partners who show curiosity about surgical status, express concerns about what dating you means about them, or seem overly focused on physical aspects rather than emotional connection may harbor unresolved transphobia that could eventually turn dangerous. For transgender individuals facing relationship concerns or seeking support, several specialized resources exist nationwide. The Trans Lifeline 877-565-8860 offers peer support specifically for transgender people, operated entirely by transgender staff. The National Center for Transgender Equality provides comprehensive legal resources and safety planning guides tailored to transgender experiences. Forge, focus on transgender survivors of violence, offers safety planning tools that address the unique vulnerabilities transgender people face. Their resources include relationship assessment guides that help identify concerning behaviors before they escalate to violence. Local LGBTQ+ centers frequently host support groups and can connect individuals with transgender-affirming therapists, legal advisors, and emergency housing options. Organizations like the Transgender Law Center offer guidance on legal name changes, identity document updates, and restraining orders when necessary. For allies, PFLAG provides education on supporting transgender loved ones, while GLAAD offers media literacy resources to counter harmful narratives. These organizations emphasize that support must be consistent, informed, and respectful of transgender individuals' autonomy and expertise regarding their own lives. Practical safety measures for transgender individuals include developing trusted support networks that regularly check in, particularly when beginning new relationships. Creating code word with friends that signal distress without alerting a potentially dangerous partner can provide crucial emergency communication. Documentation concerning behaviors, stored securely outside the home, creates evidence if legal intervention becomes necessary. Community-based safety initiatives have proven effective in many areas. Safe Walk programs pair transgender individuals with volunteers for accompaniment during vulnerable times. Some communities have established emergency housing networks specifically for transgender people facing relationship violence, addressing the heightened risks they face in traditional shelters. Law enforcement training programs focused on transgender experiences have improved response in some jurisdictions, though much work remains. The most effective prevention comes through community vigilance. Friends watching for isolation tactics, family members maintaining consistent contact, and neighbors being attentive to concerning situations. As Stuart Anderson often emphasizes in his advocacy work since Taya's death, community awareness and action save lives. We must look out for each other. Though her life was tragically cut short at just 20 years old, Taya Ashton's impact continues to grow. In 2022, her grandfather established the Taya Ashton Foundation, which provides emergency housing assistance to transgender individuals facing unsafe living situations. The foundation has already helped more than 30 people escape potentially violent circumstances. Maryland legislators cited Taya's case when successfully passing the Inclusive Language Act in 2023, which removed gendered language from state legal codes. Perhaps most powerfully, Taya's story has become a catalyst for community education. Local schools now include her case in anti-bullying curricula, teaching students about the deadly consequences of transphobia. The annual Taya Ashton Memorial Walk draws hundreds of participants each July, raising both awareness and funds for transgender support services. Through these ongoing efforts, Taya's vibrant spirit and commitment to authentic living continue to inspire change, transforming a senseless tragedy into a movement for greater understanding, acceptance, and protection of transgender lives. Taya's murder offers painful but crucial lessons about the dangers of hidden prejudice and the importance of genuine acceptance. First, we must recognize that violence against transgender individuals often comes from those claiming to care for them, making awareness of relationship red flags essential for everyone, not just those directly affected. Second, the case highlights how quickly prejudice can turn deadly when challenged, underscoring the need for comprehensive hate crime legislation and elimination of panic defenses nationwide. Perhaps most importantly, Taya's story demonstrates that societal attitudes directly impact individual safety. When media, politics, and culture frame transgender identity as deceptive or threatening, they create the conditions where someone like Price can justify murder as a reasonable response to learning someone's gender history. Changing these narratives isn't just about political correctness. It's about preventing violence. As Stuart Anderson often says in his advocacy work, the words we use and the stories we tell about transgender people can either build bridges of understanding or weapons of destruction. If this story moved you, please take action now. Like this video to help it reach more viewers who need to hear Taya's story. Subscribe to Lat True Crime Stories for more thrilling cases that not only captivate but educate and potentially save lives. Sharing this thrilling story could literally protect someone in your network who's facing similar dangers but doesn't recognize the warning signs. But beyond these simple actions, we want to hear from you.